mission and gave us gifts in body, mind and spirit. We thank you now for Winnie Madikizela-Mandela and what she meant to each of us. As we honour her memory, make us more aware that you are the one from whom comes every perfect gift, including the gift of eternal life through Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amanda! Power! To the people.
Mama Winnie Madikizela-Mandela, truly, and a title given to her by the people of South Africa as Mother of the Nation. Her political consciousness and practice distinguished her from an array of South African liberation icons. In subsequent years, with the leaders of the liberation movement either in exile or imprisoned, Mama emerged as the primary, if not the sole leader of the broad liberation forces. She capably steered the resistance against apartheid with her sheer ability to mobilize and rouse the ocean of internal political resistance to a frenzied level, but she was also capable to calm it down. Friends, an important lesson we can draw from her life of Mama Winnie Mandela and her political activism against apartheid is that she did not need a weapon to achieve the objectives of emancipation. She confronted the enemy politically with bare hands. She was very defiant. What a fighter. What a warrior. We will always be eternally grateful to her courage to support our black high school students, the student movement that sparked the historical 1976 Soweto students' uprisings, those uprisings which set South Africa on an irreversible process of change leading to the collapse of the apartheid state. She became the spokesperson of the revolution that the moribund apartheid state had tried to crush so many times, and the attempts on her life so many times, but her spirit was unbroken. A free and democratic South Africa, I believe, owes Mama Winnie Mandela a lot, hugely. We are indebted to her. She deserves, I strongly believe, she deserves to be posthumously awarded the highest ANC leadership honor of being isithwalandwe siaparangwe. Now, the plumes of a rare bird and the skin of a leopard in African culture symbolize heroic, courageous leadership and are adorned by the ANC on leaders who have distinguished themselves in the service of their people and their commitment to the struggle for freedom. She deserves that award, and it's long overdue. I'm not going to go on and on. There's so much, as I said. We can, talk about Mama Winnie Mandela, her heroic exploits. You know how, for example, she was able to smuggle her grandchild into Robben Island, where Nelson Mandela was jailed, only for the jailers to realize once she was right on the island that, oh, she smuggled a baby. And she was able to get that baby, Nelson Mandela, to see his first grandchild. And when the police, when I was young, killed so many young people, she went to the police stations. And one account is that, when the police accused her, of fomenting and instigating students to demonstrate and to go on rampage, she was so angered by that. True to her character, she flung a book she held in her hands across to the police and took off her shoes and was about to hit them with the shoes. That's the character, the type of person Winnie Mandela was. Truly a fighter, a warrior. Before I leave, I would like to thank all the people who made this occasion possible, especially within the African community. There's so much that people have done, selfless work, and especially two people. I want to mention two people, and so many other people. But Rebecca Mpande, my sister here, you stand up, Rebecca. And Anne, there is Rebecca here. She was instrumental in organizing this event. And Anne, she's at the back. I think she's in charge of catering. There's Anne over there. Anne, yes, thank you. And countless other people. And of course, people who've contributed their own money so that we can have refreshments. We thank you dearly. Thank you all. Amandla! Power! Thank you.
Anne will now come and read to us from the Bible. Thank you, Anne.
The reading is taken from 1 John chapter 4, verse 16b to 21. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to St. John. God is love, and those who abide in love abide in God, and God abides in them. Love has been perfected amongst us, in this, that we may have boldness on the day of judgment, because as he is, so are we in this world. There is no fear in love, but perfect love casts out all fear. For fear has to do with punishment, and whoever fears has not reached perfection in love. We love because he first loved us. Those who say, I love God, but hate their brothers or sisters, are liars. For those who do not love a brother or a sister whom they have seen cannot love God, whom they have not seen. The commandment we have from him is this: those who love God must then love their brothers and sisters also.
God's love reaches completion by the degree to which it is shared out among us. Just previous to this reading, in his letter, John describes two dimensions of Christian experience. Firstly, the love that we share with God, expressed through his gift of Jesus Christ to us. And secondly, the love that we share in the community, viewed as a byproduct of God's love. And it's surely easier to love other people who we can see rather than it is to love God, who may at times seem intangible, especially in times of hardship. John argues that the absence of love for one another betrays an absence of love for God. And those who live with that duplicity, saying they love God but in their hearts hate some human being, they are, in John's unyielding words, liars. Some in the number gathered here today have lived with those who claim to know and honour God, whilst experiencing how far from the expression of God's love described here those people really were, because they felt the hate. We live in a time where often self-absorption can override doing the right thing for other people. But go back 50 years to South Africa, and whilst many would no doubt fit the bill of keeping their head down and keeping quiet, many did not. Many sought to live out their commitment to other people and their valuing of others in the fight against apartheid, the fight against its hateful politics. For many, Winnie Madikizela-Mandela was the visible face, the audible voice of that great struggle. She was the person they could see and hear while her husband Nelson Mandela was in prison those long years. She was the inspiration to continue the fight against a disgusting regime. She was the one who held many people together. For many, she was the nation's mother. On hearing the news of her death, Archbishop Emeritus Desmond Tutu, the chair of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, described her as a defining symbol of the struggle against apartheid, who refused to be bowed by the imprisonment of her husband, the harassment of her family by security forces, detentions, bannings, or banishment. Archbishop Tutu is a man who understands firsthand the incredible costliness of that reconciliation that Mama Winnie fought for.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests. First, I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we stand and pay my respects to the elders past and present, and pay my respects also to the elders of all those communities that are here gathering with us. As we gather here today because a big tree has fallen and its branches lie broken and lifeless, while its fruits scattered all over the land in confusion. Indeed, we are lost, for our mother has passed on, but we are not here to mourn. We're here to celebrate the life of a freedom fighter. Winnie Mandela was a brave soldier, a fearless fighter, a defiant warrior. She was separated from her husband, arrested, tortured, and detained without trial and kept in solitary confinement where she would recover from her wounds in secret. Often this went on for months, separated from her children, and she was also banished to a remote village in Brantford in the Orange Free State to live a solitary life away from her children and from her people. The mother of the nation, as she was so fondly known to her people, Winnie Mandela lived a life of service to her people, suffered enormously under the apartheid government, and sacrificed everything for the freedom of her people. Yet she was demonized for the better part of her life and felt lonely and isolated in a new democratic South Africa. She was an icon of the struggle for liberation. As children growing up in Soweto, we first witnessed Mama Winnie's fearlessness when one Sunday morning on a newly built freeway into Soweto, apartheid security forces surrounded her car in an attempt to stop her from entering the township. They tried to arrest her, but she shed-fronted a female security agent, ordering her to get her hands off her. And during the Soweto students' uprising of 1976, we tried to march into the city of Johannesburg to free our leaders who were held at the notorious police headquarters of John Vorster Square. During the march, on a hilltop along the road leading to the city, we came across a cordon of police cars blocking our way. Standing atop a medium-sized boulder between the police and us students, just beside the road, was a lone figure with a raised arm, clenched fist, Black Power salute. And then there was the iconic war cry, "Amandla!" We rushed forward as we realized that she was putting herself in harm's way. And within seconds, she was swamped by a sea of school uniforms and whisked out of the area and out of harm's way. That was the Winnie Mandela we knew. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, the story of Winnie Mandela is the story of the African people of South Africa. A people dispossessed of their land and subjected to economic exploitation, racial discrimination, human degradation, and political oppression. Winnie Mandela fought for the free education for the children of South Africa. And now it is happening today. She fought for the return of the land to its rightful owners, and today it is happening. Such was the power of one incredible woman. Mama Winnie's acts of bravery so inspired young people throughout the country that millions of us left the country to join South African liberation movements in exile, and thus intensified the struggle against apartheid and its ultimate demise. We will always remember Mama Winnie, and may she rest in peace. Rest in peace, daughter of Africa, until we meet again. Lala ngoxolo, xawe lamaqhawe. Amandla. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Friends, Lister and Lizzie Manaka will now come forward along with Mr. and Mrs. Closer. They'll be reciting poetry and I suspect some music as well. Thank you.
helicopters hovered across the sky, imposed police vans and policemen with their own dogs spread fear and air. The face of crimson death was upon her. Hi, 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 hi. The stand voice called out, "This is an illegal march. Disperse." Suddenly, sounds of horrifying gunshots, tear gas, and howling dogs were unleashed on unarmed students. Winnie Madikizela-Mandela was there, face to face with unrepentant panic and intimidation. To protect students amidst ensuing chaos, slaughter, and feast just the sky, shouting, "Amanda!" as she stopped and pushed away towards the police. This helped send tremors and energized her. Mother of the nation, you were there to protect, inspire, and energize us. Fearless warrior, intimidation, imprisonment, isolation, punishment, death threats, banishment, smear campaigns. No stop. Gallant fighter, mother of the nation, flower of the nation, we accept the fate. Lala Gabote, Mama Osisi, rest in peace, Kawela Matava. Amanda,
in my home, we were 8, and with Mom and Dad. When the security forces came to raid our homes, if Dad was there, he would have to take out the permit to show the number of people that were living in my home. Our parents were tired because the forces would have to count how many people were there. If there was an extra person, they were removed, some never to be seen again. Becoming a young girl, I grew up to listen to Umama Winnie defying these laws, saying it is not right that we should be identified by a paper. I grew up where we were not allowed to live in the suburbs of Johannesburg that we so longed to visit and shop and enjoy because it was our land. We were deprived, but Mama Winnie, Mama Sisulu, and other mothers, they all gathered together and said, it is enough. We cannot be subjected to these past laws. And that was the birth of Watinta Abafazi, Watinti Mbogod. That means you touch the women and you must be prepared for what will come. Umama Winnie stood up for us. She fought and inspired us. I was 16 when I decided that I was going to study law, because the very law of the land that was legislated in my country was legislated so that it can privilege people because of their color. Mama Winnie stood up to show that in a fearless way you can fight. I remember one time when on TV3, on just one occasion, they were showing us what the forces have done to Umama. She was shoved and taken away, which we are now to believe that it was her detention without trial. Mama Winnie, to me personally, she was a lioness. Everything that they could throw at her, she always rose up and she stood the test of time in her personal life and also as a politician. On the day of her passing, the first call I made was to my mother, and she said to me, everything has just come back alive. What was happening during her time has just come back to me alive. In a language fitting for a farewell to a mother, please allow me to pay tribute to Umama Winnie and say to her, uyigorha, uyikutani, idela kufa, iqhawe laze lesizwe, umama wethu, umama uWinnie nomzamo Madikizela-Mandela, wasiphatha kahle, siyakubonga. Siyazi ukuthi la uzofika khona, unqolo msila, uzothi usebenzile. May you be acknowledged now in your passing much more than you were when you were still alive. Thank you very much.
Some reflections on the late Mama Winnie now from Tamar John from the South Sudanese community.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Tamar John. I pay my respects to the traditional owners of the land which we stand on, past and present. First, allow me to just say what an honor it is to be standing today, and what a privilege to be here today on this memorial service for an iconic woman who touched the lives of many, not just the South Africans, not just the Africans, but women worldwide. This afternoon we are gathered not just to remember Winnie Mandela, but to celebrate the incredible life she lived. And today is very emotional. I have not met her, obviously, but being a South Sudanese woman and the war that is currently going on in my own country, and being an African woman, today is very emotional. To be a woman, to be a freedom fighter, like Mama Winnie was, it's not a simple thing. Mama Winnie was a true freedom fighter. During Nelson Mandela's 27 years in prison, she rose to prominence within the democratic anti-apartheid movement. And she was later detained, as we all heard the history of how hard, difficult it was. But she rose and she fought hard for the South African women. And this quote is one of my favorites. As she said, "I am not sorry. I will never be sorry. I would do everything again if I could. I would do everything I did again if I had to. Everything." Despite the conflict, Mama Winnie is still widely admired for her role in ending South Africa's oppressive policies. And some even say she contributed to the fight more than Nelson Mandela did. And I think that's a legacy that she left for young women such as myself to remember, or to know that we need to live the truth and fight the beast that is bureaucracy. May her soul rest in peace. Thank you.
I will reflect on the life of Umama as a representative of African diaspora women leadership. My title of the reflection is "Allow People to Speak Beyond the Grave." Bravery, independence, and integrity, genuine parenthood are the key words of this reflection. Did you know that I found out that Umama got married more or less at the same age I got married, 21 years, 20. I got married at 20, just a couple of months difference. Now imagine, most of Winnie Mandela's 38-year marriage to Nelson was spent apart, with Nelson imprisoned for 27 years, leaving her to raise the children alone, as she kept his political dream alive. This is one of the inspirations of my reflection today. We of the African diaspora express deep sympathy on the death of the anti-apartheid icon. She represents the struggles of the Black people she loved equally. Mama Mandela This is a distinctive tribute to you, your bravery, independence, and integrity. The cost of freedom is never free. That is what we're thinking about. We are touched with the passing away of you, Mama Winnie. I quote from her last forum of women that she attended. She said, "We will sleep peacefully when we leave this world because we know we have left the custodians of the struggle for women in your hands." She spoke to the young women who attended that forum. Words, of course, could never capture completely the richness and beauty of Umama Winnie's life and legacy. As a devoted wife for nearly 38 years, mother of her children, sister, grandmother, and dear friend to so many, Mama, the mother of the nation, was one of a kind. While the love of her life, Nelson Mandela, filled Winnie's life with endless love and adventure, and his 27 years imprisonment was really difficult for him. Her faith and the love of her family, friends, and nation carried her through that difficult chapter in her life. She has left us with an army of principles that will penetrate where an army of soldiers will not. I quote, "I staggered forward and never doubted my goal," end quote. That's from Umama. Finding your voice and being true to your convictions is paramount in leadership. And that should be an inspiration for us all, male or female, young or unadult. Women, men, and young people are to emulate your virtues and principles. And indeed, she demonstrated that even what society regards as weaker voices esteemed in fighting against victimization, as she stood against unfair treatment amid inimical conditions. Her spirited life inspires many people, past and present, especially women who stand against victimization in society. And this includes all forms of unfairness. Glamorous and tough, she inspires us to be change makers. She, a fighting spirit, an extraordinary woman, a mother, a soldier, and a fighter. Umama Winnie Madikizela-Mandela, she is the best we could have. No one can fill her space. Thank you.
Godwill Soma from the South Sudanese Equatorians Association has made it, and so we're very pleased to have him now come to the microphone to speak to us.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's an honor to be standing here in front of you guys and just to be able to share a short reflection about our mother, Mama Winnie Mandela, who has sadly passed away. My reflection I'll be speaking just shortly. I titled it Inspiring Generations, as she is a mother that has inspired a lot of generations. As a South Sudanese or as an African Australian now, still being inspired by the things that I learned about her life and the things that she has lived for. Mama Winnie Mandela's life has showed us the big difference between doing good things and doing the right thing, as most of us sometimes will go through an entire life without knowing the difference. I would like to put my reflection in 3 words that mean a lot to me that I have picked up from her life. The first word is determination. She has lived a life of determination to go through everything that she was put through, whether being put in solitary or being put in tough situations to give up, but she has not gave up. She was determined to see through whatever belief that her and her husband has had from the very beginning, which is freedom for the nation. The second word that I chose to describe her life is brave. She has lived a very, very brave life and feared nothing even when she got arrested, she still never gave up on the hope and on the dream that they have had in the nation or for the nation. My mentor has told me, when you find something that you're brave enough to go to prison for or die for, you have found purpose. So I believe Mama Winnie has lived a life of purpose again, which is very inspiring. The last word that I chose to describe her is hope. The hope that she has had for a better South Africa has inspired many generations, Africans, South Sudanese, such as myself, or African Australians in general, especially young women, as we've seen here, to aspire to do more or to aspire for a better future and better tomorrow. Mama Winnie's life has showed us that hope is a vehicle for a better future. However, determination and bravery are the two fuels that will help us reach to a life that is full of purpose. Thank you very much.
We welcome Dorcas Utkovic now to the microphone to speak.
Hello, everyone. Well, I would like to acknowledge our distinguished guests. They've been named, so I won't name anyone. Everyone from the South African community and the Australian community at large. Thank you so much to NMDCC for organizing, especially Mama Rebecca and everyone who helped her to make this occasion possible. So when I got called and I was told to come give a few words, I thought, okay, great. I went to Google, like everyone does, and I knew in my heart that whatever it is that I'm looking for, I won't find it on Google, but I did it anyway. And true to that, I didn't find it. So when I was talking to Peter, I remember he said to me, you know, you can say whatever you like, just speak from your heart. And I was like, yes, that's true. And that's what I decided I would do. And I know that, you know, whatever I say, I'll probably speak for many. And so today I would like to talk to all of you as a woman, first and foremost. I would like to talk as a mother, as a daughter, as a sister, as a fellow countrywoman, as a feminist, and most importantly, as a black unicorn, if you all know what that means in the young society. But ladies and gentlemen, we are aware of Mama Winnie Madikizela-Mandela's story. You know, all the speakers today have shared wonderful stories about her political life, and everything like that. And I will not claim to be a political specialist, so I won't even go that way. What I would like to share today is what this incredible icon brought into my life and the lives of other young women. It is largely because of such women as Winnie Madikizela-Mandela that I'm able to stand here before you today. And, you know, it's also because of people like her that I can fly, I can soar, I can dream. It's people like her that I carry with me. And, you know, they are the wind beneath my wings. It's, you know, women like Winnie Madikizela-Mandela say to women like myself that it's okay, child of the soil. You matter. Your story matters. Your fight matters. And never get fatigued in the good fight for humanity at large. There are many watching you from both sides of the story. So stand your ground, be proud, know who you are, because you are never, ever, ever alone. Mama Winnie Madikizela-Mandela, you did not die, you multiplied. Lala Ngoxolo, Mother of the Nation. Thank you so much.